So if you're familiar with our channel, you know we have been very critical of watchOS for a little while now. It's time to talk about how 2025 could be better for watchOS. Unfortunately, it seems like they have set that preconceived notion at least for the first 3 to 4 months of the year. With watchOS 11, we are not going to be getting a ton of new things with watchOS 11.1, obviously, point 0.2, point 0.3 that should be coming at the end of January into early February, and 11.4 coming out before June, obviously. We got to talk about this. Let's jump into it. First things first, since we are running watchOS 11.3 Beta 1, let's start there as it is its next major release. That should be dropping at the end of January, or most likely what I'm anticipating at the beginning of February. This has been a very underwhelming release. If you follow the channel, you know we've been very critical for a while of what watchOS has really not been offering to us as far as opportunities for new features or anything like that. And it's been very stagnant at a release. The more concerning piece that I want to touch on for 11.3, at least in the first beta, but something we've seen consistent even with full releases from 11.2 and 11.1 prior, battery life has been horrible on these devices. I can tell you right now, jumping into settings general let's talk about this build number really quick. And watchOS 11.3 Beta 1 is a D build at the end, which means you are going to be getting a few more betas. So this could improve in this aspect for right now. But still, as a overarching theme, even when everything is done, it has not been the best out there. We have had significant battery drain. It has not been the best battery life on any of these models on our watchOS build in general, on our Apple Watch Ultra first generation one. And I do want to show you our battery health, though, is still 97%. And thanks to it being an Ultra, the capacity lasts longer, battery life shouldn't be an issue. Well, sad to say, it unfortunately still is. Anyways, beyond battery life, feature set has been very disappointing, and all of these major releases seem to be centered more around bug fixes. It's very concerning that that's what they're using these for instead of double releases like they do for iOS. However, the biggest hindrance, and we've talked about this again before, guys, is Apple is focusing so much attention to Apple Intelligence that unfortunately, watchOS isn't getting 99% of those features and it's being left by the wayside. So iOS 18.1, 18.2, 18.3, and already announced 18.4 are where a lot of these features will be stored for Apple Intelligence. Nothing about new features for users outside of Apple's walled garden, unfortunately, that doesn't offer Apple Intelligence for people that don't have devices eligible for that. Keep in mind, it's a very small segment of the market with only iPhones from last year being the 15 Pro and Pro Max, and this year's 16 series as a whole that can use all of these features. So people with older iPhones, which is abundant, people with older Apple Watches or any Apple Watch in general are not gaining any of these features. All we seem to be getting are fixes to compilations that weren't working prior, black screens that weren't actually holistically showing the new watch faces, or any of that. So that is an issue. There's no growth really with watchOS right now, which is kind of frustrating, especially for users who are used to using this on a daily basis and back in the day getting actually a ton of new features loaded up. It is definitely a much more mature OS now that it was obviously 2 or 3 years ago. However, aside from a few new apps for tides and things like that that have been added over these last few months, there's really no reason watchOS should be as stagnant as it is. You can see right here, the Tides app isn't even loading quickly enough. It just finally loaded, and it's very nice to have, don't get me wrong. What they've added are nice little quality of life improvements, but there's nothing great. The biggest fear here is that watchOS 11 is a wash, and up until we see watchOS 12 in June at WWDC, there might not be anything else new for your Apple Watch just yet. So this video is really ranting and talking about what to expect and not to get your hopes up for at least the first half of 2025, which is crazy considering what we got for watchOS 11 and having to wait a whole year to get something new in watchOS 12. I do fully believe we should get some other new watch faces before then. You should be able to have some sort of new changes that might actually be decently set up instead of just being able to use an image and putting the time in the back and being more visually appealing, so to speak. But as far as serviceable, good, useful new features, that's just not happening. We will be getting, well, we should actually already have, if you're running 18 or watchOS 11 and iOS 18 in general, you should be able to at least get notification summaries that have been pretty junky as it is. There's a lot of talk about that, which is a, I guess, quote unquote, Apple Intelligence feature. However, that is it. There's no new Siri on here, unfortunately. If you were to jump into settings and actually take a look at that, it's just, there's nothing there. You don't have anything like that. It's a joke. So I don't know why they're really handcuffing watchOS to not have any of those Apple Intelligence features that they're pushing as tentpole features for 2024, but running into 2025, maybe they will pivot from that and give us something. We do know we should be getting priority notifications. I'm hoping that will actually come to the watch. But aside from anything of that nature, no new Siri, no Chat GPT integration, there is nothing else that Apple is focusing all of its resources on for watchOS currently. Let us know in the comments down below. What do you think? I really want to know your opinion. Are we just being silly here, or do we have valid concerns on our investments here not really maturing over time and getting those updates that Apple used to always give us for watchOS? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.